Are you a medical affairs team and currently prioritizing ways to integrate AI to help enable efficiency or impact on your team? Well, here are 3 things to consider if you're thinking about potentially outsourcing to vendors or building in-house. Consideration number 1, how core is this piece of technology to your business? That's an important question to answer, especially when it comes to investing into LLMs, training them, fine-tuning them. The maintenance that it comes to technology is very expensive and very costly. So how important this tech, if you had it, and how core is it to your business is probably the most important question to answer. It also typically ties into how important is solving this problem or challenge that you want to address with AI. How important is that to the business? And a couple of examples outside of life sciences. So Google's core product is search. Obviously, because that is so core to their business, they're not going to outsource building their search index or building their search technology. On the flip side, if you're a food and beverage company and you're selling fun and sparkly beverages to millennial consumers, the production of those beverages, the formula, the product itself, that's really the core technology of that business. So outsourcing things like building a website if you want to sell your product direct to consumers is likely something that could be worth just outsourcing to a potential vendor or using platforms that exist like a Shopify. So the important question to answer here is really how much business impact is solving this problem have? And 2, how core is that actual technological piece? So that's 1. Once you've answered that, the second question to really ask yourself is how quickly do you want to be able to move and execute on this? Depending on the complexity of the solution required to solve your problem, it can take a really long time to get it to a usable state. So the question is, if you waited a year or 2 to have the solution, what would be the hidden costs of not being able to execute quickly if you were to potentially leverage a vendor? The other reason to use vendors oftentimes is if you are unsure of whether you want to invest internally in building something like this out, you can always leverage vendors to experiment, test out, see what you like and don't like, and then with more informed knowledge, make a decision in the future to potentially invest into building your own architecture or your own technology solution internally. So with that, the point number 3 is if you are choosing to do something like this in-house, do you have access to the right talent, not only to build it, but to also maintain it? A lot of times there can be sometimes this perception that once you build a product, it just automatically works and you don't have to invest a lot of resources to maintain it. But as you guys have seen, Gen AI especially has been evolving super quickly. There's technological shifts almost happening every month within the space that once you build a product, there is a cost to maintaining that product when it comes to resourcing. And technology continuously shifts. So now you have to allocate technical resourcing to maintain and continuously level up the technologies of that product. And especially these days, AI talent and AI expertise is very difficult to find. It's also very expensive to find relative to any other technical talent. And the type of companies that are competing for that talent are the Googles of the world or the open AIs of the world. They're the ones that are likely going to be able to gain and retain true AI expertise and talent. So it can become very difficult from a recruiting standpoint to be able to get the talent you need and also be able to pay for that talent. So ultimately, to summarize these core considerations, I think 1, asking yourself as a team the question of how core is this technology to our business and how core is the problem in terms of making an impact on the business. 2, is it something that you have the budget and capability to invest in-house from a recruiting standpoint and recruiting the right talent? And then not only having the resourcing for the build out of the product, but also continued support for resourcing to maintain the product and upkeep it. And that talent tends to be expensive.